We're looking at a very, very important topic. We're looking at agriculture. Of course, we'll talk briefly about the budget that was presented yesterday by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Indeed, the budget of 47.9 trillion naira was indeed presented yesterday by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So much allocation to defense, Ministry of Health, but surprisingly, the Ministry of Agriculture was allocated only 2% of the total budget, which is just a little, very close, almost not so close to a trillion, but not far away. It's 826.5 billion naira were allocated to the Ministry of Agriculture there. Let me quickly get the reaction of my guest in the studio. I have Dr. Ajisefinni Ayodeji. He's the Vice President, Nigeria Association of Small and Medium Enterprise. I also have joining him on that same table there, Bola Oyeleke. He's the President, Tomato and Orchard Producers Association of Nigeria. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome to Business Daily.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Ayodeji, let me quickly get your reaction with regards to the allocation to agriculture, just 2%.
Well, the percentage you are looking at is based on what the ministry presented to the Joint Budget Planning Committee. But when you talk about budgets for Agric, if I be talking as Ayo, my expectation is what part of the budget that has capital expenditure impact on farmers, 1. 2, what part of the budget that have financial impact? We have a agricultural bank. How is this budget ready to revalidate or refertilize that agricultural bank? Because that's the only bank farmers can have access to whatever allocation given to the Ministry of Agric.
All right.
Those two areas are my own expectation in the budget.
All right, we'll expand on that in the course of our discussion. But Mr. Oyeleke, you may want to react to the 2% allocated to agriculture. It's an area that you're very, very strong in.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigeria. For me, the 2% of the budget allocation, fine, due to our income, and due to the agriculture sector in Nigeria, what we have been able to do in the agriculture sector for the past few years. And when we look at it, I will go the Bank of Industry. What are the Bank of Industry doing apart from the budget allocation? What other international fund and investment are they also bringing into the system? Because we look at the budget as a government funding, but we should also be looking out beyond the budget. What collaboration, what partnership are we also looking at in agriculture to be able to merge the budget and have a successful agriculture year? So to me, I would say that we should also be looking out more private sector, partnership with private sector, the PPC, and how to collaborate with them. Thank you very much.
All right, so we'll expand on that in the course of the show. Just to quickly mention that if you look at the revenue projection in that budget, 34.82 trillion naira, a very huge one. The government is also targeting 15% inflation rate, and of course the oil production of 2.06 million barrels per day. And of course a lot of people are saying, this government saying this to appease to the emotions of Nigeria. There's also a benchmark of crude oil price, like I said earlier, $75 per barrel, and of course the exchange rate of 1,500 naira to the US dollar. And of course, if you look at what we had last year, just 800 naira to the dollar. Is Nigeria indeed really making progress? We'll discuss more after this break. Don't go away. Glad to have you back. It's the Business Daily right here on Trust Television, and we're dissecting issues around the budget and of course the agriculture. Of course, talking about food inflation and of course the way forward in 2025. I have with me two very distinguished Nigerian. Dr. Ajisefinni Ayodeji is the Vice President, Nigeria Association of Small and Medium Enterprise. And I also have with me Bola Oyeleke, is the President, Tomato and Orchard Producers Association of Nigeria. These are the very important people in the value chain in terms of agricultural development. Glad to have you again, gentlemen, in the studio.
Thank you.
You've made your opening remark with regards to the budget to agriculture, Dr. Ajisefinni. If you look at the allocation to your ministry, the ministry that you play in, Ministry of Agriculture, I know you don't work in government, you play in the private sector, but the Ministry of Agriculture as an entity should be a regulator, not a big player.
Thank you very much. Let me start by saying Ajisefinni, not Ajisefunmi. Well, that's just by the way, no problem. When we look at budget from Ministry of Agric, as a private sector, that is a ministry that have their own capital and recurrent expenditures for the period under review. I am a private sector. I have my own budget for my company. The budget of the Federal Ministry of Agric will have indirect impact on my business, not direct impact. It is federal, not state. And what are the indirect impacts? Number one is what policy is being embedded in that budget, especially in farm mechanization to the populace. Two, what source of soft landing does that budget have for farmers? When we talk about soft landing, do that budget have provision for farm input subsidy? If yes, does that budget make provision? Because Ministry of Agric is a very big ministry that has nothing less than 15 to 20 subunits. Among them is Bank of Agric, which is the bank meant for farmers. We know bank is a financial institution that have public funds. Does that budget have provision for the revitalization of that bank that will entice investors? Those are the basic things I will look at in that budget. Because your current expenditure of the ministry is their salary and overheads. Capital expenditure of the ministry is to buy one thing or equipment for their ministry use. I should not rely, we as a private sector should not rely on that. But what we as a private practitioner in the sector of agribusiness we look at is, where can I get funding from this budget? Is this budget making available special intervention that will support the smallholder farmers? And if that is it, well, we wait for the final release of the budget to speak Indeed. Our own part.
Absolutely. Mr. Oyeleke, he has spoken his mind with regards to the Ministry of Agriculture being responsible, for the federal project. Do you think we need the Ministry of Agriculture? Do you think we need the Ministry of Agriculture at the federal level, or we should just devolve the power to the state commissioners of agriculture, where they appear to be more closer to the people, of course, or even the local government level? You can have director of agriculture who can interact one-on-one with farmers at local levels.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, we need both of them, both the Minister of Agriculture, the Commissioner, the local government. But we have to be more specified on individual activities. I think the Minister of Agriculture to deal more on research of seed, how we can able to improve our yield. What kind of research? If the budget allocation is still focusing on research institutions that are under the Ministry of Agriculture or not? Because when you visit the Ministry of Agriculture, you find that some departments are overwhelmed. I will talk more about the horticulture department, where you have so much overwhelm in that department. You have the tomato, you have the pepper, you have everything on one desk officer. So we should be looking at how this budget can also attract investors, as my colleague have said, in research, especially in research. Let's leave the production to the Commission of Agric, the state and the local government. Let's look at the climate smart agriculture. What is the budget? How is the budget affecting this new technology for investors to see that, yeah, we are serious people in agriculture, we can now come in and able to expand more on what we're doing. But for me, the Minister of Agriculture, the Bank of Agric, should be concentrating more this coming year on research, on our seed production, on how this budget can also improve it. What yield are we getting this year? How can we able to surpass it by double next year? And how is the budget going to fund this institution, NIOT, and so on, that are dealing more on research, seed, and some more that are under the compound of the Ministry of Agriculture. So I think that is my
indeed, that's a very good one there. But Dr. Ajisefinni, he made mention about the Ministry of Agriculture should concentrate on research. Given what you have seen of them in recent past, do you think they can actually drive this project?
You mean the project of research?
Research, I mean, making seedling available to farmers?
Yes, we have under Federal Ministry of Agric, we have a department for research and seedlings.
How much of impact have they had on farmers?
That is what I am trying to bring out of it. How do we make those two major agencies to be more effective? Not to do research and keep in the shelf. How do we make their department to do more research and disseminate this research to State Ministry of Agric, whereby the state will now use their extension services to local government? What we are facing in Nigeria is lack of good seeds. And the only agency that have the capacity to do more is Federal Ministry of Agric, because they have the international influence. They have an agency that is into it. How effective is that agency working? How do we stop inbreeding of seeds? How can we get good seeds? It is those agencies at the federal level that can drive it. And that should be an area this budget we are talking about should focus more on in their capital expenditure.
Indeed. Let's move on now and talk about another issue that is very critical in the course of the year. Of course, the year is coming to an end, but we know that food inflation has been with us since the beginning of the year 2024. As of today, it's over 39%, very close to 40% food inflation, despite the government declaring a state of emergency on food security. We are not getting the adequate results. Mr. Oyeleke.
Okay, thank you very much. When we talk about the inflation, food inflation in the system, yes, I agree with you, because our attitude in Nigeria, we believe more on the consumption, and we don't believe more on investing in agriculture. This is a call for all stakeholders across the country to look at agriculture as an investment too. Because you look at the cash is outside the system, the purchasing power is outside the system, whether we like it or not. The purchasing power is still strong in the nation, and you have so much funds around the country. But the problem is that people investing into the right channel of agriculture, that is where we find our problem. And our inflation will keep on increase if this attitude continue to be there. Because when you call a stakeholder to invest in agriculture, they always look at agriculture as
business.
As they don't even look at it as business. They shy away. They're afraid of agriculture, to invest the money into agriculture. So keeping those pool of funds will not solve our problem in the system until we started changing our attitude towards agriculture and how we can able to invest. We can invest through the state channel, through the local. Now we have local government that we can also be very comfortable with. And we can go down to the local government, talk about, look at the farmer that need this fund to produce more. Because when you talk about inflation, we're looking at cost of IC2. The cost of IC2, you're looking at a farmer that can purchase 100 grams of tomato for almost 25 to 30,000 naira. But the system, there is a lot in the system. So for me, I would say that we should also, the stakeholders should look on the investment in agriculture. Not everything the federal government, but we ourselves should try to change our attitude by also say 2025 as a way of improving agriculture, a way of taking out of insecurity about food in the nation. So I call on the investor, the private sector, to also look at agriculture is a way also to also put funding and production. This is a certain production that people will consume daily. So this is how we can also be able to knock down deflation a little bit down.
Indeed, Dr. Ayodeji, he made mention of something very critical there. People are afraid to go into farming, to go into agriculture. What do you think we are not doing right? Probably maybe the manual kind of agriculture is indeed what is carrying a lot of people. Should we go mechanize, farming?
Thank you very much. I would like to tell the part of my president here, because he's my president, is that we need to migrate from the ideology and mentality of agriculture to agribusiness. Investors should look at how will my fund be secured. Why investors are running away before now is security of their fund. We know that Agric is a volatile environment,
absolutely,
being determined by so many factors. Uncertainty. One, the issue of seasonal farming is number one problem. Number two, security. Number three, inflation. Just like what my brother said, when we talk about inflation, a country that is basically consuming and is not producing, inflation will continue to get increased. And we have people that can bring in their own fund. How do we mean we want to migrate from manual, conventional way to mechanized way? Government, let's be sincere with ourselves, cannot provide all the mechanized gadgets we need in agribusiness, in making food security available. If there are individuals that have this fund, let them invest in farm implements and use it as lease to farmers. Let's be sincere again, housing scheme needs to be farmland scheme. Let's see how we can open up land, provide the necessary infrastructure. I have my money. I acquire 1,000 hectares of land. I'm not ready to cultivate. I invested my money by doing what? Clear the land, get it secured, get my private security in place, make provision for mini irrigation. And now said, if you are a farmer and you are interested in cluster farming, come into this place. This is the amount you will pay. That is one. Two, insurance is very, very important. Western worlds are growing because they see insurance as number one priority on their investments.
It's a very poor in this part of the world.
It's very, very, for ordinary pen, they buy, they insure it. We need to imbibe the work of insurance into our business as a farmer. Gone are the days we are looking at insurance as an option. It's no longer an option. Insure your farm, insure yourself. So that in case you have a loan, may God forbid it, but there's nothing we can do when the right time comes for us to drop. You will not leave debt for whoever is living.
Indeed, the insurance
so that's what I'm saying.
Will handle that.
That is the importance of insurance in this part we are talking about. For the investors, your fund will be insured. There is no bank now that wants to give out loan to a farmer without being backed up by insurance policy. Therefore, for us to move forward, we the private farmers that are in the agricultural sector, migrating from agricultural sector to agribusiness. When we talk about agribusiness, one, you need to provide for all the infrastructures you need. You may not have the money. Let's come together as a cluster. Look at Orchard. Tomato group have their own group. Hot pepper have their own group. Investors will look at it that, okay, I'm ready to support tomato farmers with X amount of my fund. What are the terms? Where is your EOP? In the EOP, they expect to see insurance policy there that will give the assurance to whoever is bringing the fund that my money is secured in case of any situation.
Indeed. There's something you made mention there that I want to make reference to. You talked about farm mechanization. You made mention that government cannot be able to, afford all the machines.
Yes.
Let's make reference to a state like Niger, where the government has even named himself as a farmer.
Yes.
Absolutely, and it appears to be doing so well. What do you think, Dr. Ayodeji? What do you think other states should learn from a state like Niger?
Well, this is a national station. Niger is a pilot state for any state that wants to go into agribusiness. Look at their system. One, he invested so much on tractor, on farm implements. He invited various individuals that wants to go into agri, come and take land. I know of an association that they allocated 5,000 hectares of land to. I know of an association they give an agreement to take whatever they produce. He organized and created an agribusiness company out of government Ministry of Agric that will focus on the implementation of that. That is a going concern.
Indeed.
Are you getting me? It's a good template. But despite that, the number of equipment, more investors will bring more. You said Niger State. Niger State is one of the states that have large...
The largest state in Nigeria.
In Nigeria.
79,000 kilometers.
Look at that. 79,000 with how many population?
Population, yes. Very few population.
What we expect in a standard agribusiness system is, in a local government, we should be able to find minimum of 500 tractors in a local government. By having 500 farm implement food per local government, my dear brother, we will not lack food in Nigeria again.
Indeed, Mr. Oyeleke, you made mention about people being scared of coming into agriculture, but we've seen, like he made mention about states like Niger trying to take the front seat there in terms of agriculture in Nigeria. So what do you think others should learn? He made mention of some of the the example that they are setting. What do others think? Because Niger is actually recognizing the potential they have in terms of space. They are the largest states in terms of land mass in Nigeria. A state like Enugu, state like Anambra, state like Delta, Bayelsa, one of the smallest states. What do you think they should pick from these states and, of course, develop the local value chain of agriculture in their respective localities?
Thank you very much. To me, you find out that agriculture is not about space anymore longer. It's not about, oh, I have the biggest farmland. Agriculture is about technology. Agriculture is about seed. Agriculture is about climate smart agriculture. These are the new generation of agriculture. You have you have vertical farming, which can be very organized in urban area. You have vertical farming again, which can be very organized in urban area. So I feel that the Niger state government has taken the step forward, and other state governments that have been engaging, like Lagos, Ogun State, then to that taking agriculture too as one of their agenda too. But we need to do more. Just as I said, is that we need to look for a very good seed, because agriculture is not about the land issue again. But culture is about yield. What is the production? What is the yield per hectare? What is the ton? So this is agriculture now. And how can you achieve all those things? You have to bring in technology like tractorization that you just mentioned, that each local government should have more than 500 tractor in each local government. Why we're talking about technology? We're talking about technology in the sense of land preparation, which land preparation is one of our disadvantage in the smallholder farming system in Nigeria. And people should look, because we don't have good orientation about agriculture. Many of our elite do not have good orientation about agriculture and how to invest in agriculture. And agriculture business is all about, because I tried once, I don't want to try it again. Okay. No, we should not be looking at that to agriculture. Oh, I've given some funding, it did not work, I need to, because agriculture is about climate. It's about studying environment. It's about looking at what are the right equipment you can use in different environment in the country. So agriculture is strictly one of the best way to invest in. So we have to start teaching those culture. We have to start creating awareness. We have to start training. We have to start putting even government worker that are not into agriculture, how they can invest in agriculture before their retirement or when they are still in service. So these are education, awareness that we need to do. And I don't think that the federal government, we should leave it on the federal government. With the association, with the private sector, need to really speak louder about agriculture as an investment, as a business that can also bring Nigeria out of where Nigeria is.
Indeed, looking at agriculture as a business there. You talked about not agriculture, not more about space. And I was so curious. You talk about seed, about technology, and a whole lot of that. But you need space. You need to plow the land. Is there anything maybe you are not telling us?
Yeah,
maybe?
Because in our system and our culture, we believe that we have all the land to plant. So I think that that attitude, that culture, the mentality is taking us backward. That is why we are feeling that, oh, we have the land to plant. Why are we so? But no, let's have the seed, the right seed to plant. Even in my small space, I can be able to generate what I can feed my community. Even in my backyard, I can be able to do, I can be able to plant and also take it to the farm or within my community to solve the problem. The problem is that our consumption now is just fresh. We are not looking at industrialization. We should be looking at more of industrialization. How can we conquer? How can we go into the industrialization? Individuals have to start farming. The main farming should go into the industry, should follow value addition, for other production to be also made important. But in Nigeria now, we are just we are just producing for fresh consumption because we feel that we have the land. Yes, we have the land, but we are not up to the standard. Look at example of Netherlands, very small country, and they're feeding the world. Because of what? Because they take research in seed. How seed can improve yield.
Indeed, quite a very good example there. Doctor, he also talked about a very important area that I was coming to, talking about value addition, which is area I'm very, very big on, because when you don't add value, you are exporting jobs. When you grow, you export, you grow, you export, and of course you import what you export. Eventually, once a value is added to it, you import it back into the country. What do we do? Because we grow cocoa here, we import chocolate. I mean, it's worrisome, Doctor.
Well, you see, I said agriculture, enough of agricultural practice, rather agribusiness practice. And charity begins at home. How do I mean? We need to change the mindset of our farmers. Producing fresh, selling or exporting fresh raw products. We need to look into it. It's not the best way. And what mindset reorientation do we want to give out to the populace? There are some people, they may not have interest in the primary production. Let's encourage them into secondary production. And that is why the issue of Agric scheme needs to be emphasized on. What do I mean by Agric scheme? I have my fund, I want to be adding value to be producing tomato paste. I should be able to have farmers that will be supplying me tomato without any hindrance. Let me engage the Association of Tomato. I need 500,000 farmers that will be producing for me. What is the advantage? I will give them capacity building. I will give them all what they need to produce that. Change their mindset from let me take it to open market. For me to be buying, wherever I allocate, I located the factory in, the economy of that community will improve. More jobs will be improved. VAT will come. Tax will come.
Certainly.
A lot of value benefits will come to that community where the company is located. Then I can now export out the finished product. Meaning, I have used the value chain to create better economy.
When you export, you also earn foreign exchange for the country.
Exactly. And that will bring down what? Inflation in the country. Nigeria has the potential to do this, but do we have the information disseminated to farmers? As a person, I always discourage seeing people exporting our raw farm produce.
Absolutely.
It's not done. We are killing our own economy to improve other people's economy. And that is why our own youth, our people in Nigeria wants to japa, to go and be working in the factory that where they brought the goods from our own country to those countries, because they have the conducive atmosphere to do it.
Absolutely.
My expectation, my appeal is, how can we have that ease of doing business for investors to establish? And when we are talking about ease of doing business, electricity is number one.
Indeed.
A manufacturing or processing company that is running on diesel is running at a loss, not even break-even level.
Doctor, before you wrap on that, I want to chip this in. Most of our farmers are illiterate. Many of them are uneducated. Is it part of the problem we're having with regards to what you mentioned? I mean, producing fresh and taking straight to the market.
As a practitioner in the sector of agribusiness and as a trainer, I took it upon myself to start doing what is expected of government. That is, training people using their own foundational languages to enlighten them that, look, you on 1 hectare of pepper, sorry for going into your territory, how many seedlings of bell pepper are you expected to have on one plot of land?
That's a very good question.
How long do you think that seedlings can stay? How many fruit do you think you can get from one stand of your pepper? I did the calculation for them that on every one stand, when managed, you will get 1 kg of fruit for a period of 5 months if it is well managed. You can see the underline. They now multiply it. If I have 125 stands, that means that I will be having 125 times 1 kg. You know what that means? More money for them. Therefore, going to give them reorientation of mindset that, look, agribusiness is what you should imbibe. Agribusiness is giving them a marriage of business and culture. Change your mind that let me produce for open market that I don't know.
Oh, all right.
Thank you.
All right, doctor. Let me come to you, Mr. Oyeleke. You are handling this sector, which is very, very critical. Talking about tomato and orchard producers association. There, you are managing them. Tell us the kind of education you're giving them. If you can do that in 60 seconds.
Okay,
because
thank you.
we see tomatoes, in the market almost everywhere. Many of them perishing.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, our farmer are not illiterate. They are skilled.
Absolutely, I agree with you.
They're skills farmer. It's just that we need to upgrade the skills.
Absolutely.
Every year. Let me come back to your question. You talk about the tomato. What are the challenges
exactly
in the tomato sector? So,
are you finding challenges with off-takers and issues around that?
Yeah, we're finding it difficult with off-taker because you look at distance between Kano, Lagos, Kano, Port Harcourt, Sokoto, Lagos, Port Harcourt, and so you look at that is a difficult moment. It's a difficult thing for logistics for you to move your goods from those channels of production to channels of consumption. But what we are trying to do now in the association, we have been doing for the past 4 years now, we are decentralizing agriculture to make sure that from the consumption area, there is a production. And from the production area, there is a factory where they can also give, do what? Give to the factory.
All right.
Very easy. So we've been able to improve on this very well.
All right.
We're able to achieve a good agriculture practice.
All right.
So by next year, we're looking at the eastern part of the country to also see how we're able to channel the production of agriculture today.
All right. Because of time, Dr. Ajisefinni, I won't be able to give you 30 seconds.
No
My director is already telling me to wrap up. I must thank you for your time. Bola Oyeleke, President, Tomato and Orchard Producers Association of Nigeria, and of course, Dr. Ajisefinni Ayodeji. I hope I get it right this time around. Vice President, Nigeria Association of Small and Medium Enterprise. I must thank you for your time on Business Daily today. With that is a wrap on the show today. We'll be back again tomorrow. I am Yusuf Akogun.